who I think is probably the most, by far, anointed person since Jesus in many ways, and that was William Branham. And I have all his sermons on CD. And when you listen to him speak, this is in the 1940s, 1950s, he's not a preacher. He's just not a preacher. He never thought of himself as a preacher, and he often had other well-known, powerful preachers preach for him, except he had the power. But you listen to him speak, he's just so simple, just so down home. He grew up in a super poor shack in Kentucky, and it was just, didn't have much school, bad grammar, terrible grammar, just could hardly express himself speak a straight, clean English sentence. But he was just so humble. He absolutely didn't care, and he just loved people. You just couldn't believe how much he loved people. And, oh, did I say he was anointed? Extreme, unbelievable gift of discernment and being able to see things in the supernatural. Great, extreme, fine detail in people's lives that he never met. And he had an angel standing beside him on the platform. And whenever that angel was there and the Holy Spirit was working, he knew exactly who was going to be healed and what the problem was and all the things they were going through and all that kind of thing. And when the Holy Spirit would do that, he'd never miss. 100% success. But he loved people. And at one point, early in his ministry, he had a healing line, and it went for 8 days and nights nonstop, 24 hours a day. Collapse an hour or two, maybe. People would just hold him up. Thousands upon thousands of people. It was just off the charts, unimaginably great. There hasn't been anything like it. There was since. But there will be. Maybe you. Greater things than these will you do. And then he would try to get away from all the crowds and go. He didn't have a big, huge ministry with flags flying and carpets and rows of secretaries with typewriters and then computers. He had none of that. He just himself, his wife, a housekeeper, a humble little house in Indiana. And that was it. He never wanted anything more. People would get healed, rich people. Daughter healed of cancer or something, and then they'd hand him $10,000 for gratitude. He said, "Why are you handing that to me? I didn't do it." Someone gave him a Cadillac once. He's so embarrassed he hid it in his garage for 3 years. He walked home, went home finally after a terribly exhausting campaign of meetings and just to rest and get away from everybody. And he gets home and there's 10,000 people camped around his house waiting for him for prayer. In the woods, in the yards, everywhere, jammed all over the streets. The police can't handle them all. They're all waiting for him at home so he can rest. But his style was so humble, so simple, so low. You knew it had absolutely nothing to do with preaching or charisma or eloquence. It's effortless. God just picked him out and anointed him, and he developed such a love for God. It's just astounding. Just astounding. And of course, he got all his power from being alone with Jesus. Well, we tried to explain how he got all his power, but anyway, but that's what he enjoyed. And every year he did get alone. And he got alone every year for 1 solid month, hiking and camping and hunting in the Rocky Mountains, just 100 miles from the nearest cabin in town, just totally alone with God. And he absolutely had to do that. He couldn't face the other 11 months without that. And I understand what that feels like. Because Heidi's in my absolutely most favorite time. Absolutely, bar none, most favorite time is our time alone with Jesus. And over Catch the Fire last year, I spent weeks and weeks alone in our little house in California up in the mountains, which we hardly ever see But just weeks and weeks of just hiking in the woods and walking and talking and just enjoying his company and no pressure about anything. That's absolutely the best thing there is. Absolutely unbelievably great.